Hi everyone, so as you can tell from the title of this video, this one's going to be a hefty subject. It can be triggering if you've been cheated on or if you've been in a relationship as a woman with a man who's been deceitful. But what the intention of this video is to show women that ultimately you are really cradled by the divine feminine energy of this world, and she is protecting you as the divine mother, as we are all as women involved in what I would call the sacred sorority of the divine feminine. Now, the world is feminine in nature. The world is cyclical in its nature, like the endless cycles of karma is in this container of the feminine. When it comes to the masculine is about truth. The masculine is about, the long-term vision. And also, if we know men, men are leaders, but men also know deep down the difference between right and wrong because they are leaders. They know innately within themselves what would be the right decision or the wrong decision, if that makes sense. So when we come in contact with a masculine and we ultimately enter the sacred pact of relationship with a masculine, it comes with sacred vows naturally. And those sacred vows are, through loyalty, commitment, but ultimately one of the 10 commandments is do not commit adultery. Yeah. A woman's nervous system, as we know, is so connected to earth that our intuition speaks to us, and our intuition is connected to our subconscious, and it speaks to us when we are receiving energy in, we become the expression of that energy. So we have to look at when the masculine is in sacred unity with us, and obviously we are exchanging sexual energy, and you as a woman are an amplifier. You have to remember that lunar energy is feminine and solar sun energy is masculine. Now, the sun projects its light upon the moon, and the moon will amplify that light and light up the darkness of night. So the night represents the subconscious, the night represents the spiritual realm, and as we know that as women we rule the spiritual underworld, because the spiritual underworld is represented by the subconscious and emotional states, while men rule the material realm because they're here to conquer the material realm through individuation of the soul and projecting their energy outwards to gain material abundance from this world. Now, when man and woman come together, and man and woman are faithful and loving to one another, her role is to be the amplifier of that particular masculine's energy. So, as we've known that Mr. Andrew, as my friend Shanice would call it, Andrew Bates, would actually say that she can be your biggest superpower, and he's actually stated that if he had stayed stayed in commitment with one woman, he would actually be more powerful than how he is now. I'm not about to get into a discussion about Andrew Bates. If people would know me, they know my personal opinions on him. I'm not particularly a fan, but some things he says that are true, so don't shoot the messenger with some things. Other things I can disagree with. But when it comes, obviously, with the feminine being the amplifier of his energy and she being the portal of the feminine, she can actually amplify his energy to such a degree that when he steps out into the world with that amplified energy, he can actually gain more from the feminine of this world of abundance and whether it's career goals or whether it's just leveling up in life. But it comes from the devotion that he has for her, shows her that she can relax and allow her nervous system to naturally open up through the act of sexual exchange, because this is where he's meant to pour energy into her, so he gets an amplified amount of energy back. So through his devotion of love and his faithfulness and truth and teaching her, because the feminine can also sit in ignorance, and this is why we can't truly blame the feminine for what she does, because she lives in the ignorant state of emotions. Now, when I say ignorant, I do not mean unintelligent, not smart, I don't mean anything like that, but what I mean is because the masculine is the representation of knowing truth. Because of his vision, he is supposed to share that knowledge with her, because he is the natural leader, protector, and provider. And he is supposed to provide that feminine with truth, so she is liberated and enlightened. So when the masculine is unfaithful, she will sense it in her nervous system naturally. Her nervous system will close down, and her nervous system will be like, right. And this is your divine feminine goddess that lives within you, because the divine feminine doesn't like unworthy men. The divine feminine understands that when unworthy men roam this earth, because earth is Gaia, it's feminine, that ultimately unworthy men destroy the earth and they don't cultivate and protect the earth. So what she does, through you, she closes down your nervous system when it comes to your sexual energy, and she stops the ability to be able to amplify. So then his kind of power source is taken away. The reason with this video, the other woman is your sacred sister, is that ultimately through the different stages of leveling up when you're in a relationship, the man will be tested through temptation. He has to be tempted through temptation, because if there's no temptation, there's no leveling up. So as we say, the divine feminine butterflies, which are represented through other women who are sexually tempting, because ultimately it's through what they say in the Bible with women. They always blame the woman for her body was tempting. And, when we look at the story of the Garden of Eden, once they ate the apple of knowledge, they become aware of their nakedness and vulnerability, which basically means that they become aware of their own sexual nature, basically, and how the temptation of eating the apple represents the temptation of man feeding into the woman through sexuality. So, but what they like to do in the patriarchal society is always blame the woman. But a man will always be sent tests through other women. And the test of liberation for him is because he will know intellectually and logically it's not the right thing to do. But if he's obviously not strong-willed, because this is what it is with the masculine, it's about will. If he's not strong-willed, he will feed into that temptation, and the divine feminine then will seek to drain him of his power, so to speak. Yeah, so the what I would say, the girlfriend or the wife will close down her energy and she will stop amplifying, and the tempting butterfly will be here to drain the feminine, because the divine feminine will know that this man isn't worthy for one, the abundance of the earth and what the earth has to give and what Maya has to give, but also that he's not worthy to experience the beauty and the love of the feminine. So through her, and this is why they always say like karma is a bitch, because what happens then, as his like energy is being siphoned off at a really fast rate, you will start to see the manifestation of his power being taken through things happening in his life where business deals are going wrong, or he's having arguments with friends, or there's just negative things happening where he's, maybe he's not being paid, and that is the divine feminine cyclical nature of this world, to go, you didn't pass the test, now you have to start from scratch. But as women, like, we do not harness as much solar energy as the masculine. So although his power's been siphoned off, we still gain, but we don't gain as much as we would in a loving, committed relationship. We take what we've got, we've taken the knowledge, we've taken the experience, and that's why the representation of eating the apple from the tree of knowledge, we as women, we take the knowledge and we transmute it to know what to do in future, or to know how to navigate situations in future. But that knowledge is there to be used. Like, we take that solar energy and we internalize it, and we then transmute that to level up ourselves. And this is why women naturally, when relationships end, there is that level up naturally to a smaller degree, whereas you'll normally find men will normally come crashing down. There'll be something that will happen like that's quite devastating, like, how they say in a divorce, men lose 50% of what they earn to the feminine, whereas the feminine, they do gain. But the masculine, he can either choose to be single, and he can only then grow a certain amount of energy, a small amount of time, and it is ultimately his choice between his own temptations of the body or the enlightenment of his own intellect, what he wants to get in this world. So if he's entering a relationship, man needs to enter with reverence for the feminine, before she is the portal to his riches. But if he doesn't treat that woman with ultimate respect, love, and faithfulness, then his abundance will be stripped away from him. His peace will be stripped away from him. He will go from the Garden of Eden down to, the unleashing of hell itself, so to speak, the fall of man, because the fall of man was temptation. This, when you understand that any kind of concept of the other woman, like, I know naturally, like, we as women, we can fall into lower centers of, emotional states when it comes to other women, but we have to really break out of that, because it is like a divine sisterhood. And even though, like, when we come into non-duality mindset, and instead of seeing her as your enemy, seeing her as your sister, and go, thank you, because you have shown me where this man isn't worthy, and gives you the opportunity to go, no, I know the riches and the gold and the abundance, as I am the empress that I hold inside of me. I do not want to give you keys to that treasure, because you are no longer worthy of that treasure. That's what the butterfly represents. She helps transform situations and helps you, show you that you are worthy of so much more, and worthy of a man who understands your divinity. The other woman is the sacred sister, but she is not there for him. She is there for you. She is there to show you. And when we can get past it and we can come into unity and understand, thank you, like, and we can move into gratitude because we understand how the divine feminine is forever protecting us. Oh, we go into complete, like, okay, don't you worry. Karma will come and allow and watch his life unfold in such a way that was of his own choosing. This is like the concept of God gave free will for a reason to make choices. And the masculine knows inherently, because the masculine, when we think of like swords in tarot, it is a masculine energy because it represents the swords of truth. And it is his role to fight his own demons, and his temptation is his own inner demon, and the consequences that he gets from his own choices are of his own making, because it is of the energy he poured in to the feminine itself, and she amplified his own choice. It's so important that every woman understands this, because when we hone in on this information, there is no need to ever feel jealous of another woman, but to understand that she is your sacred sister. It's so powerful. This is why Eve was represented like, here, Adam, here's the apple. Do you want to eat it? You know that we shouldn't eat this. You know it. God communicated this to you. Do you want to eat it or not? And that's literally his choice. Because we can sit there and go that, you know, when men will say, oh, she took half, she took 50%. What were the choices in the first place for her to leave? Because it's only when we fall deeper and deeper and deeper into comfort and pleasure of ourselves, our nervous systems unlock the treasures of heaven. And it is his role to provide you such an environment which he only benefits from in the first place. The deeper you fall into your divinity because of the comfort he creates in your nervous system, the more abundance he gets to pull out of his reality. But you also need a fail-safe to go, if he's not worthy of it, then it needs to stop. And that's where the other woman comes in as her sacred role. Every time he fights temptation, he levels up. Every time a male or a man fights his temptation and overcomes his temptation, the goddess will grant him his gifts. But if he fails, she is justice. She is divine justice. She is the divine cycle of karma. That's all we need to understand. If you've ever been cheated on and you feel as though that woman, you feel hatred towards that woman, I want you to look at the backlash that man got from the divine feminine and how you grew from that. And also see where she saved you and you got to dodge a bullet of a man who wasn't worthy in the first place because he wasn't strong-willed enough to fight his own temptation. And that will lead, if you weren't protected in that, eventually you would go down with him. You are protected by the Divine Mother. She is, I just love it. But have a lovely day. Let me know in the comments, subscribe, you know, all of that. No, you know what I'm going to do. But subscribe, like, comment, share, everything, I'd really appreciate it, because ultimately every woman on this planet needs to know this information, because she needs to see how divine she is. She needs to see how protected she is. She needs to see it. And if you can literally extend gratitude and set yourself free from the hatred of the other woman, you bring divinity into your own life and also into her life. We don't like this information because it goes against everything that we feel, but it's still true. And life will show you that if you've been through that experience. But have a lovely day, and let me know in the comments if there's anything else you want me to talk on. See you later. Bye.